I'm joined by Chloe Bolt, freshman at Missouri State University, coming off a tied for first performance individually at the MSU Payne Stewart Memorial, and the team at Missouri State also won by 15. Chloe, thanks for your time, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, just what does it mean, your first tournament as a freshman and to get a tie for first finish? Just what does that mean, for you
I think
individually?
it's kind of like an ode to the amount of work I've put in this last summer getting ready for college, just showing that, the hard work and the hours does pay off. And I was really fortunate for it to happen during the first tournament. I didn't expect to see results right away, but it's definitely kind of um, like wants me to, I want to keep working to see what else I can accomplish, farther down the season as we get to some bigger tournaments and get bigger opportunities.
Yeah. So just what was it like? Your final round, you shot three under 68. You had five birdies and you birdied your 17th hole. So just what was it like, to get the T first finish, play so well in your final round and just have this happen at your home tournament?
It was really neat, to see all the team around and all the support from the fans and just being able to have everybody there just because it was our home tournament. I definitely scrambled a lot, but it was kind of nice to know that even if my best game isn't there, that there's still good scores to come.
Yeah. And just tell me about the course, Twin Oaks, and just how special it was, for your first tournament to be your home tournament and for your team also to win by 15. Just overall, how special was that? And not only, tie for first yourself, but to have your team, also, pick up the win by 15.
I think it was a great start to the season. Like Coach Kane has said many times, we have a very talented group, and it was kind of nice for us to pull off a win as big as we did, especially at our home tournament. That was one of our team's goals. And to be able to accomplish that with everybody around was really, really neat. And I think it was a great start to the season.
Yes, you got some conference honors. You were named the Conference USA Women's Golfer of the Week, after your performance at your home tournament. So just what does it mean to, get these, to be the first, golfer in your program history to get Conference USA Women's Golfer of the Week honors?
Just really special. Like,
Mhm.
no, again, knowing like, okay, your hard work that you have put in does pay off. It is recognized. So keep doing what you have been to get to that point, to keep
Yeah,
getting better and keep, performing better down the road.
yeah. And your team just, won their first tournament at your home tournament. Then you have the week off. Then next week you play at the University of Missouri's tournament. And then, you go to Iowa, play some tournaments, then, two tournaments in Arkansas to finish up the fall
Mhm.
season. So coming off the team victory, just what do you see, going forward for the rest of the, season for your team?
I think just the knowing that we are capable of shooting good scores, especially like as a team, and kind of using that as confidence going forward, saying, not expecting us that we're always going to play our best, but knowing what our best is, and kind of even looking back saying, well, we gave up a lot of strokes being our home course, and there's a lot more to reach for. And even when we're not at our best, we still can pull out a win.
Yeah. And what is it like? Because I noticed that your team only has one senior and two juniors, and then a lot of sophomores and a couple freshmen. So I would say a fairly younger team. Just what's it like?
Mhm.
You obviously you're new, being a freshman. Just what's it like? For you just coming on and being on a team that's especially pretty young, only having one senior on your team.
Knowing that there's a lot of potential in the future for what we're doing, especially with like recruits coming in next year, the next couple of years, that our team is going to definitely grow and hopefully get better. So it'll be really neat and be really fun to be a part of the team
Yeah,
and getting to play with these same people for multiple years, so you kind of grow a bond and you get to know each other a lot more.
yeah. And you've it's only been one tournament so far, but obviously pretty cool. You got the win. You tied for first individually, and then your team got the win. So what have you enjoyed so much? What have you enjoyed so far about college golf so far?
Definitely just the whole team aspect. Like everybody here, we all have the same goal. We all want to win. We all want to do well. And being able to be around people that care about the sport as much as you do, that you can reflect on stuff. And it's just a different level and energy out on the course. Like you have people that you can constantly compete with and constantly have practice competitions, which I think shows when you get out to the course and you're kind of in a pressure situation, even if you've been
Yeah.
in plenty of them, like competing against your teammates.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're an engineering major. So just tell me about
Yeah.
what led you to, choose to study engineering and just some of your interest outside of golf.
So I really like the problem solving side of engineering, and we had a really
Okay.
great like engineering physics teacher at my high school, and she kind of just inspired me to keep going down this route. And that's kind of the same thing with golf. Why I like golf is it's problem solving. There's a lot of thinking behind it. It's not all straight up athletic ability. You know, you can get a long ways. You can get a long way ahead just by thinking and trying to play smart and all of that. But really, I don't do too much outside of golf.
Okay.
I just love the sport and it's kind of my fun and my competition. So I spend a lot of time out here. So
Yeah, so we'll get into it. You're from Iowa. Just tell me a little about, growing up in Iowa, just, how you got started playing golf and just, I read that you moved down to, you chose Missouri State because you could, move down south and the courses there are open basically year round where they're not in Iowa. So
mhm.
just, tell me a little about, just growing up in Iowa and your start in golf.
So I'm at a super small town. We got about 2,000 people. So I've grown up like on a 9-hole golf course,
Okay.
super small greens. You know, I work out there too. So it's kind of like a double, kind of get to give back to the course that I spend so much time on. But there was a lot of good junior golf out in Iowa. And I didn't start playing like competitively until like my seventh or eighth grade year. So I just played like with my dad and my grandma and kind of
Okay.
friends. And then started to get better and saw like, you know what, maybe this is something that I can succeed at. So then I put in a lot of time through seventh grade till now and kind of all picked up really quick and saw a lot of improvement. So that got me here today. But I mean, my family's been a great support system and they always will go, like my dad and I play every day, or we did play every day. And just the opportunity to come down here with super nice facilities and where I can play all year round, that was my kind of ticket down here. I'm like, you know, I've grown up with just a putting green, no driving range. So just even having a range is crazy, which most people take it for granted, but it's amazing to have one,
Yeah.
along with a big chipping green and the putting green. So just like the ability to have really nice facilities has been
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so let's talk about Iowa golf. Just tell me about, Iowa golf, just some of the maybe the great courses you play there, just, what golf is like in Iowa, and just tell me about some of the things like what do you do during the winter when maybe you're not able to play outside, golf outside
Yeah.
the
So
winter in Iowa.
the winter we have in our garage, we have like a simulator. So I mean, I'm in there five
Okay.
months out of the year. And then if you can brave the weather, you go out in stocking hats and pant and all your layers.
Yeah.
I mean, our high school season is during the spring. So we've played in like snow before. Like you hit one green and it's got snow on it, and then you go to the next one, it's clear, and it hailed on us during our like rules meeting. And it was kind of funny just to think of the weather difference. And then I keep looking back at temperatures right now, and it's about 20 degrees cooler there than it is here. Um, but like I would say, great courses in Iowa. We got to play the Wakanda Club in Des Moines for the Iowa
Okay.
Women's Amateur this last summer. It is immaculate. Um, Des Moines really got a lot of great golf courses, even public, like Ames Country Club. Then you got Coldwater. What else is up there? I mean, there's a lot. Like there's too many to count.
Yeah. Do you have
But
any you have a home course or any courses that you play around your hometown? I believe it's Sumner, Iowa.
yeah,
Do you have a home course
um,
or some courses you
yeah,
play usually?
it's Meadowbrook Country Club.
Okay.
It's that 9-hole that I was talking about. It's right in the middle of town. It's right by our high school. So it's like a 2-minute drive.
Yeah.
So I'm out there about every day in the summer when I'm not traveling and playing in a tournament.
Yeah. So something interesting you mentioned, you got a late start in golf. You mentioned you didn't start till about, I believe it was eighth grade, if I heard that
Hmm.
correctly. So you've won, I believe you won, a couple of high school state championships. You were Iowa, junior player of the year. Just your success, not only, what does that mean, your success, but also how did you achieve the success, given your late start in golf? Was it just a lot of hard work? Was it,
Hmm.
you know, other things? Just, tell me about how you went from, just your late start to achieving all the success, like winning state championships and being, junior player of the year.
I would say it was just a lot of hard work, like spending about every day out there working on and learning and being open to learn from anybody. Like I was very fortunate to have our high school golf coaches. One had played at the UNI and the other at Upper Iowa. So both of them were very experienced in the golf world and would like you could ask them any question and they would just help you like crazy. So I'm like, the biggest thing for me, like I would say, is asking for help, even if it's someone who maybe you haven't talked to the most, but you know they're very knowledgeable. Just posing them a question saying, how do you go about doing this? How do you go about doing this? And just picking up all the little bits you can to learn everything because there's a lot of hidden little things that you wouldn't get just from playing on your own. You know, ask someone more experienced. So I did a lot of that, like seeking out information and seeking out um, ways to get better, but then also just working really, really hard.
Yeah. Well, there's certain parts of your game that you worked on to get better, like parts that you were, worse at. Just tell me a little bit about, how you approached, getting better and, achieving all the success you have
I
so
would
far.
say short game is the most important. And from the course we play in high school, they're not the best conditions. So from going from high school to in the summer tournaments where you're on better conditions, I really struggled with short game on those better conditions, like your bent grass, your tight lies, and your quicker greens.
Yeah.
So actually, this last summer, I learned a ton. I talked to some of the interns and workers for the Iowa Golf Association who had been playing golf for a very long time and done very well in all of their tournaments, and just asked like, "Hey, how do you hit wedges off of a tight lie?" And then it turned into like a whole 40-minute chipping lesson at the at the four ball, and learned how to spin my wedges. And then I was able to take that with me to the Iowa Women's Am and kind of try out what I had learned and saw a ton of improvement, and I got up and down a bunch. Um, but I would say like growing up on the 9 hole, my iron game I felt has been always pretty solid just because our greens are maybe 20 yards wide, like the biggest one. So you don't have a lot of room to work with. So if I hit the greens at my home course, then I come out here to where these big greens are. I have a 20-foot putt if I'm hitting the green at my course versus even hitting the green here. It just kind of everything went close together and just the ability to practice anytime you wanted because nobody was on the golf course. So you could
Yeah.
just go out and work like drop balls at 50, 60, 70 and work on wedges and just hit them all into a green and see your dispersion on a green, not just a range. And I think that was really, really important to getting to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great that you seek out advice. I think that's, a very great thing that you do. I wanted to, learn more. Tell me about the strengths and weaknesses of your game and when you're going out to practice, what do you like to practice more than other things? Or you just or do you are you the type of person that you like to practice all aspects of your game when you go out there?
I definitely practice what I was struggling with the tournament before more, which I know that's something I need to work on to practice more to maintain because that's why, if you like looking at my stats, one part of my game will be just out of this world and another would be not very good. And you can tell that the one that was good was what I worked on. So I'm kind of working to try to work on all parts of my game, but like getting down here, I focused a lot on putting because I knew I was losing strokes on putting. So I spent like my first 3 weeks down here just putting like an hour and a half every day just to get that. And now I've seen my putting improve greatly. So now like what I'm working on is I'm not hitting very many greens from like 160 and out. So I'm working on my longer irons. Um,
Yeah.
just getting more confidence in those, but then always working on wedges and putting, I would say.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the golf community. You mentioned, being close with the Iowa Golf Association. You played tournaments. You mentioned like four ball, women's amateur. Just tell me about the golf community in Iowa. And, is everyone pretty close there? Who does golf in Iowa?
Yeah, everybody is super great. I mean, I know the whole IGA staff and I've asked them all for help just because they all are very good golfers. And I'm like, you've been around the game for longer than I have. You have any advice, and reaching out and texting them. But I'm excited for our Iowa tournament because hopefully I'll see a couple of my girls that graduated in my class, like throughout Iowa, kind of have a little reunion up there. But
Yeah.
I would say my favorite tournament for the golf community has been like the four state where they take 6 girls from Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska, and you play like a Ryder Cup format.
Hmm.
And it just kind of, I mean, everybody knows everybody. Like we all cheer each other on, and it was really neat to be on a team together. And I'd say that brought us all a lot closer together. But the last 3 years, I would say I've gotten to know a lot of people and just very fortunate to get to know all of them. And they're lifelong friends, outside of golf too.
Yeah, so your team, as you mentioned, will play in the University of Iowa's home tournament at the end of
Yep.
the month. So, being from Iowa and you're the only Iowa, native on your team, you have a lot of players from Missouri, some
Hmm.
other international players, which we'll talk about. But for you being from Iowa, what do you think it'll be like, going to playing in the tournament at the end of the month in Iowa? Is that pretty close from your hometown, or is it pretty far away?
It's about an hour and a half, so it's pretty close,
Okay.
so I'm guessing there will be a lot of people there from my hometown, which would be really neat to see everybody again. And the course I'm pretty familiar with. I've played it probably 5 or 6 times. So excited to get
Okay.
on kind of almost a home turf just because I've played it so many times and there's a lot of tournaments out there. Um, and just a lot of people I know will be there. So it'll be nice to see because I know a couple girls on the Iowa roster. So it'll be fun to get to see them again and talk to them and just kind of talk about how college has been going and everything.
Yeah, that'll be great. Being from Iowa and playing in a tournament at the end of the month. A few more things. So I've talked with some coaches and other college golfers about this, especially ones who are in cold weather states like yourself. But being from Iowa, just how would you, because you mentioned you have a simulator, in your garage. How would you
Hmm.
also work on the short game? Because in the winter, a lot of times you can work on your full swing, but sometimes the short game lacks. Not able to practice that. So how do you get your short game in? Just generally, how do you get your game ready for the spring when the weather is better and you can go outside and play outdoors?
Really, it's your short game's kind of neglected for those three
Yeah,
months. So I would say like the minute that you would have weather that you think you can go out in, you would go out and just try, even if it's for 20 minutes. And then the minute you can get outside, you spend all of your time on the short game, like everything just to get it ready. So like I would do, we had like on our back patio, I would put a mat down and then line up like kiddie pools like at 30, 40, 50, 60. So if it was at all nice enough out, I would go out there and hit off those. I could be bundled up, but that to kind of get some wedge feel back. And then just a putting mat inside, I would say for putting. But other than that, you kind of just go in your first time you can get outside and you're going to spend 95% of your practice all on your short game just to get your feel back around the greens. And
yeah,
I would say it doesn't truly come back until like your third or fourth week outside. And that's about when you start competing in high school. So it's still kind of like it's a process to get it back.
yeah. Playing, maybe for the first time in the spring after the winter, do you ever find any rust, or do you find that your game is pretty, decently okay, after the winter?
It's usually pretty good. I mean, the simulator can get tiring just because it's an overload of numbers and you try not to look at them. And then they're also, not always correct. Stuff doesn't read all the ways correct. So it's always nice to go out and see ball flight. But I would say just getting back some confidence in hitting a ball off grass and not a mat is the biggest difference.
Yeah,
But other than that, I mean, as long as you go in with a good attitude and you give yourself a little bit of grace, like, it's my first time outside. I can't get mad about hitting a bad shot or can't get frustrated. Usually it comes back a lot quicker and it's not as bad. But I would say definitely giving yourself some grace from going from playing inside for 5 months to going outside is the biggest thing. Because or else you'll just get frustrated, think it's your swing. But sometimes it's just kind of getting your feet back on some real grass and
yeah.
finding your swing back on the grass.
Yeah, you talked about real grass. So you mentioned you hit on a simulator during the winter. Are you someone who you like looking at the data and the numbers, or are you more like a field player? You like seeing, hitting on grass and when you can and seeing actual ball flight, or do you like a combination of both, seeing both the data and seeing actual ball flight?
I would say in the towards the end of like the fall, once I've played a lot, it's kind of nice to get some numbers and be like, okay, am I where I think I was type of deal. But then, after about 2 weeks inside or 3 weeks inside, you're like, all right, like I want to see this back outside. I think it's
Yeah,
definitely a tool to use. But true raw ball flight is always better than data just
yeah,
because you can do more with it. And sometimes the numbers, what you see is not truly as bad as you think once you see the flight with it. Um, So definitely being down here and being able to be outside in those winter months will be a lot more important to me. I'm pretty much a field player. Like I never really had a swing coach. Um, I worked with a guy probably 10 times, but other than that, it's just kind of feeling how stuff works and videotaping. I like to like videotape and see kind of um, where my swing's at. But right now, I mean, I feel really good in my swing and it just focusing on setup and alignment and letting the swing be what the swing's going to be.
Yeah. So three more questions I wanted to ask. As I mentioned, you're the only player on your team from Iowa. You have mostly players from Missouri. Then you have a player from Texas and, another player from England and China. What's it like
Mhm.
having, teammates and just meeting people, not even from different states, but even you have a player from, teammate from England and China, just meeting, and having teammates from even different countries. What's that been like, for you?
It's really neat to hear about kind of how life works in a different country, and getting to know kind of how their culture works. So my roommate is the other freshman from England. So it's been really neat to kind of learn all the
Yeah.
different little ins and outs about England and kind of some of their food, and then also uh, like just some of the phrases. Like I would say that's the biggest difference is how is some phrasing and you don't know what she means sometimes. So then we always have to ask again. And it kind of goes both ways with that. But it's just really neat to get to meet people and then they know people, especially if they're, your older ones and meet their friends and just kind of reach out and it's like your little networking within your team.
Yeah. So how is how has the transition for you, been, going from Iowa and now attending Missouri State? Has the transition been, pretty good for you, or has it been, a little difficult at first?
It's been pretty good. I mean, the nice thing is we kind of jumped right into the golf. So
Yeah.
that's been a constant, whether it be in Iowa or Missouri. Um, and then also the team has just been so welcoming and so great and made the transition amazing.
Yeah, that's great. So
So
finally, I'll end on this. Just, what do you look forward to with the rest of this season and just, going forward with your college golfer career?
definitely just getting to see some more places, spending more time with my team, getting to travel a little bit. And definitely looking forward to the winter months when I'm not going to be stuck inside.